JFL Boat Build Series. I'm your host, Brent Bridgeman, and today we're going to need these tools. Safety glasses, a mask, cut-off wheel, your drill, a hammer, 2 screwdrivers, and a razor blade. This razor blade holder, it makes the job a lot easier. And then always have a box, or what I call a rack of blades. You can pick this up at Lowe's or Home Depot. Let's get started. This is a long, drawn-out process that a lot of you may not have the patience for, but trust me, in the end, if you take your time and you do this right, your boat's going to be amazing after you water sand and polish it. The good thing about having this automotive clear on top of this gel coat was it really did protect the old gel coat. So underneath this automotive clear, we have an amazing gel coat that can still be saved. So as you do this, be very careful with this razor blade. What you don't want to do is, you notice I have this blade holder on a really heavy angle, and razor blades are built with a curve. If you turn a blade over, the corners will dig in on a flat surface. If you turn it the other way, it'll be bowed in the center a little bit. If it's not bowed a little bit, you can always add a little tiny bit of pressure to the outsides, and I like to get that razor blade just right to where it's not digging in, because you definitely don't want it digging into the gel coat. The good thing is, with this automotive clear, you actually have a layer that's going to absolutely come off with the razor blade, and that razor blade, surprisingly, is going to get right between that automotive clear and that gel coat of the boat, because the two cannot adhere, so it sensibly has its own little space between the clear coat and the gel coat. So like I said, most of the boat here is almost finished. After we remove the accessories today, we're going to tackle the rest of it later this week. Like I said, this little section here is about 10 inches wide. It's the last section on the sides of the boat. Then I just have two, like 1.5 foot to 2 foot sections on the rear corners of the top. Luckily, they didn't clear coat the side of this boat, so that's a good thing. The side of this boat is the original gel coat. All they did was try to clear coat the top of the boat, and they didn't go inside the boat. They just left it, they kind of like fogged it over the edge. So the whole interior of the boat is the original gel coat, which I'm hoping we can sand and polish prior to us putting brand new carpet in the boat. But anyway, you're going to find a sweet spot when you start doing this, and you'll listen to the way it sounds. There's a couple times where the clear coat was really stuck good, and then there's other times where it's not stuck at all. But you can really hear the difference, and I changed the angle just so I can let you know, like when you hear it being really choppy like you do here, see when I scrape like this, it's nice and quiet, and you can see when you hit the sweet spot, it just shears right off. It's like you can just keep going. What you don't want to do is, I call it, like when you're calling a turkey and it's like click, 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 click. You don't want it clicking. You just want it to kind of just shred off. Like you can hear it going shh, 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 shh. It's just taking little pieces. As you can see in the video, see how it's just shearing it up? That's the flow you want, and that's the rhythm you want, because once you start a line, and I go like every 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And so you're taking off a 1/2 inch to 1 inch each time. And then, like I said, you'll reach a sweet spot, and you'll know exactly how you're going to get that clear off there. And every boat is different, but in this case, you'll hit a sweet spot. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and get the rest of this off here, and then, like I said, we'll remove the accessories off the boat, and then we'll move on to that. So anyway, if you have any questions, make sure that you put the questions, or if you want to say something about this process, or have you ever dealt with this process, just make sure you leave a comment down in the section down there. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. I'd like to get a lot of followers. Right now we got 5 followers as of yesterday. So anyway, this is episode 2, and I look forward to doing this boat build with you guys. For those of you who don't know, this is a 1995 20-foot 8-inch. It's called a VIPER, made by Cobra Boats. This particular one is made by John Story. And so as we go on, I'll divulge and explain about the whole John Story thing, and it's kind of a unique story. And this actual hull of the boat is based on a 462 Ranger, and there's just a lot of things that happen with Viper Cobra boats. There weren't too many Viper models made. There was a lot of Cobra boats made. I don't know what the difference is, but I'm going to find out. But this is a Team Viper actual tournament series boat. And we're just going to go through and totally restore this thing. We'll end up upgrading all the electronics. Eventually, we'll get into the plumbing of this. We'll end up doing the live wells. We'll end up doing I'm going to run 2 huge bilge pumps on this boat. It doesn't seem to have too much flotation like my Ranger boats I've owned. So I want to make sure I can bilge the water out of this thing as fast as I can if we ever take a wave or if we ever have technical issues. What I do know is when I redo the back of this boat, when I rebuild the transom and the other things on this boat, I know that this thing will absolutely be phenomenal. And the back of this boat will be stronger than any boat that I've ever owned. And that's because we're going to actually take this boat. We're going to fish the BassMaster Opens in 2024. After we get this thing looking pretty and everything, it's going to get a big old giant JFL wrap. So we're also working on that. And we are open to sponsors. I do have some submissions out to get people interested in sponsoring the electronics, sponsoring the battery systems. That's chargers and batteries. I've got room for an engine sponsor. If you would like to have your engine sponsored on this series, I'd be more than glad to put a brand new engine on the back of this boat. That's the goal. Power poles or sticks or whatever, talons, whatever. What people want to donate to the cause, we'll make sure that we advertise on every program. And not only that, once I get to the BassMaster Opens, of course, your name will be on the boat, your name will be on the tow rig, and we'll have a long-lasting relationship there because of this series. So this is my personal boat. This is not a customer's boat, and I'm showing everybody that you can take an older boat, put all brand new stuff on it, and you can compete at the level against those $70,000 to $100,000 boats. I don't have the means to pay that big of a payment or to pay cash for something like that. So what I did was I took this 21-foot platform and I'm going to make it brand new for myself. Not to mention, after I end up going through this whole thing, I'll have the perfect boat for me. You know, I picked a boat that had the perfect layout, and so now we're going to put all the brand new stuff on it, and it'll be just like a brand new boat with my layout that I like. So that makes me happy. So anyway, we're about probably 5 minutes away from having the rest of this automotive clear on here. And as you can see, I take this blade and I run it back down under that rub rail. And they only cleared, it's like when they did this automotive clear, they just masked off that rub rail. And so no clear got behind the rub rail. Now the proper thing would have been to gel coat clear and then cut and polish this thing with that rub rail off there. But they didn't. So part of the reason this failed, besides the fact that it's automotive clear over the gel coat, is the fact that the preparation wasn't done properly. Now, if the preparation had been sanded with, I would sand with 220 because you're clearing over it anyway. And then I would have taken the rub rail off of here and sanded behind the rub rail. And then I would have sprayed a heavy polyurethane clear, probably a PPG Global with UV protectant. And it would have lasted probably a little longer. Now, there's no telling how long this has been this way, but you can really see here, I get that blade on an angle so it's not like chopping away too much here, but you want to get that in that sweet spot, and you want to make sure that it's, see, we're almost done here, but see how it's just flaking off there? That's the sweet spot. You want to make sure you're not digging in, and we got a heavy angle, and at this point, my blade, I've already found out which side of that blade is not digging in. You see that? And like I said, once you find that sweet spot, then you'll know exactly. And I apologize for my arm being in the way, but this stuff is really itchy. Even though you're just flaking off automotive clear, it also has fiberglass attached to it from whoever sanded the boat. So you're going to have itchy arms, and you're going to have to take a shower, and it's going to be a mess. But anyway, as you can see here, we got like 2 or 3 inches left. And then we'll move on to the back. And the next clip you'll see, we're going to remove the cleats. So we're going to remove the air vents, and we're going to remove the ladder from the boat. We'll leave these rub rails for now. We'll leave the rub rail, and we'll also leave the what I call the oh shit handles. We're going to leave those for now. Try to work around them. If I don't have to take those loose, I hope I don't. They're a pain in the butt to get to in this boat. But if we have to, we have to. But for now, they're going to stay where they are. I think I can work around them, even if I have to re-gel coat this boat on the top cap. But anyway, we're reaching the end here, and then we'll go right into taking off all of the stainless steel accessories, the scoops, and the ladder, and parts of the transom there. But anyway, that's it for now, and we'll see you in the next clip. All right, so what we have here is you want to make sure that you have your safety glasses and your dust mask. We are going to be removing all of these screws from the fiberglass. So make sure you just wear a dust mask, or you can use a respirator if you want to. It's a little windy today, so I'm doing a voiceover. I've got my drill. Most of these heads are all Phillips head. It's just easier to hit it with the drill. It's really cold today. It's 38 degrees. So I'm going to buzz through this as fast as I can. So we're going to start right here with this ladder, and then we'll move on to the vents. Actually, we'll grab this vent first. It's got 2 screws in the front and 1 screw in the back. This vent's actually missing the screw in the back. So the purpose of removing all this stuff, guys, is see this automotive clear here right under my arm? This here needs to be removed with a blade. So we've gotten to the point where we need to remove the cleats and the accessories so we can get a good shot and get all of that automotive clear removed from there before we can start doing repairs. So then next we're going to remove the 3 screws here. These are tapered. These are all stainless steel. So we're undoing this, and we're going to be able to lift these out when you go to cut these or unplug them, hopefully they'll just unplug. But when you go to remove these, you want to make sure that you keep track of how it was wired. So usually they're wired with a white and a black. So anyway, we're going to take the ladder loose. There's a couple of these screws that are questionable on the ladder because the back angle on this, obviously somebody tried to install this ladder with that pull bar in it. That pull bar has two set screws with what I call an Allen wrench. And if you just take that out, that tube comes right out, and then you can easily access these 4 screws. But somebody tried to screw it, and so those are messed up. So we'll have to get 2 new screws when we go to reinstall this. I'm actually going to put in a big heavy piece of Kusa board underneath this, so it'll have a good backing to screw into next time so it doesn't pull loose, because I'm a big guy, and if I get on this ladder, I want to make sure it holds me. So this underside of this cap of the boat will be reinforced with a big piece of Kusa board. So when we screw these back down into the boat, you know it'll hold you for sure. And then we're going to move on to the cleats. Get that last screw out of there. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, you can leave it in the comments below. This is the 2nd episode of the JFL boat build series. We're hoping to get smash those likes and get some subscribers and get some buzz going. If there's something you notice while we're doing this, if you have any questions, just leave it down in the comments and I'll try to get to it when I can. And then basically a little bit of background. I've been doing fiberglass structure and fiberglass transoms and gel coat for over 15 years. What you want to do is just be real careful when you're doing these. Sometimes these screws being exposed to the water, if they're not stainless, you could break the head off them, and then you got a real big mess. But these all tend to be all stainless steel. Right now we're going to take the cleats off, and then we're going to make sure that we put all these in a baggie, and we're going to separate everything so we can keep track of it. Right now I'm just setting it on the deck of the boat, and then we're going to leave this rub rail. We're going to leave the handrail for now, and if it comes down to it, I'd like to leave it. As long as I can work around it, we're going to be fine there. So now we'll take this other cleat loose. There's 4 of these cleats on the boat, 2 on the nose and 2 on the rear of the boat. When I went to buy this boat, I liked how they were recessed a little bit, so they're not just sticking out there. But one of the designs of this boat is really neat with those recessed in. So now we're going to grab the 3 screws on the bow light. And you guys have to forgive the angle. This is my first time using the GoPro. So it's a chest mount, so it's a perspective, and I've never used it before. So some of these shots, I apologize if it's out there. And then we're going to take the electrical panel off of here. We're going to take the screws out. Notice these screws aren't tapered. These screws have a round button head to them. You want to make sure when you bag these properly. These are mismatched screws. Obviously the holes are worn out, but we're going to change this whole area up here in the front. I'm probably going to put a flatter area so I can put a 12-inch LCD screen in here, and then of course it's going to have the recessed trolling motor hole there in the floor as well, and we're redoing the whole nose of the floor here. But anyway, we'll take all these screws out. Then we'll have access to get the trolling motor mount loose, because there's automotive clear underneath this. You can see right there in the corner. But anyway, just make sure you're careful with this. Make sure if you pull any wires or anything, get a nice camera shot of that so you know where the wiring goes if you go to modify that. So anyway, we're going to continue here. As you can see, most of the automotive clear has been stripped off the boat by now. And what we're going to do is we're going to end up taking the rope out of this rub rail later, probably tomorrow. By the time you're seeing this, it's going to be Friday night. We're going to release all the boat build videos on Friday nights. And then once we get the podcast going, which will probably be 6 to 8 weeks from now because we're building a studio, then we'll be able to release the podcast on Mondays, and we'll be releasing the boat build series on Fridays. So anyway, let's get this last cleat off of here, and then we're going to move on. And we're going to move on to this other air vent. So this one has a screw in the back, the other one didn't. And then, like I said, usually these slide forward and up, but this one was being complicated. So I have to reset the chuck on the power drill so I could reach in there, because those are actually sitting underneath that scoop. But as you can see, I tried here to, usually it slides out, but anyway, it wasn't cooperating. So we just moved the chuck out on the drill. See how it doesn't fit like that? So if you just take your drill bit and you move it out farther, then it'll let you reach underneath there. It has a different angle, and then you can actually get them out there. See how it clears the chuck? You just go slow so you don't strip them out. The last thing you want to do is buy a bunch of stainless steel screws, because these are not cheap. And then this whole area here is going to change configuration. So I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret, but there's a disadvantage to all BassMaster fishermen, and I'm going to change the face of that very easily with this boat. So you guys are going to just be blown away at what we do to the corner of this boat. I'd like to say a special thanks to justfishlures.com. You can join Brent at TikTok at justfishlures.